In the wake of devastating floods, there's a pressing need for humanitarian aid in KwaZulu-Natal. People need food, clothes, blankets and shelter, and the list goes on. Civil society organizations are stepping in to offer relief to those affected. One such organization is SA Harvest, the food rescue and hunger relief organization. The organization's KZN Operations Manager, Lindsay Hopkins, speaks to us now from Durban. Lindsay, thank you for your time this evening. And nothing short of catastrophic is how you have described what you're seeing playing itself out on the ground in KZN. Can you talk to us about what the last 2 weeks have been like for you and your team and what you've seen?
Yeah, it's been quite a shock, especially after the recent looting and things like that have recently happened. We've just got ourselves back on the ground and in a good position. It's been very tragic, very sad, and it's been slow to move food and move logistics and things back into KZN, and also just try and gather some intelligent data to see exactly how far spread and how wide the problem is, to try and build back infrastructure and get sustainable solutions happening on the ground. And it's quite fitting that today is World Earth Day. If you bring into climate change and food wasting, packaging waste and all that's happening as well. So it's quite a testing, challenging time, but it's quite a poignant time in history, I think.
Yeah, you talk about how difficult logistics would be difficult, especially when you're trying to get goods to rural areas without a disaster of this. But the disaster we saw play itself out has taken out roads, it affected our ports for a few days as well. How did your team come to grips with what you were faced from infrastructure and logistics point of view? And what kind of plans were you able to put in place to start moving those goods as quickly as possible and to get it to the people who needed it the most?
We're very lucky. We've got a very good, solid beneficiary list that we work with. So we've chosen to work through our beneficiaries that we work with every week. And then what they've done is they've extended their catchment. And within those beneficiaries, we've been able to ask them to get hold of like 1-ton bakkies or smaller bakkies, because our bigger 4-ton trucks and stuff, it is difficult to get into the communities. So we're very lucky that we've been able to call onto our beneficiaries, and they just come through with bakkies, and we just fill and fill, and they just disperse and send back out. So it has been very useful to use our existing beneficiary and, all our communities. They've really come together. They're sheltering other people and other communities. We've been very, very lucky. So we haven't been too disrupted, and we've been able to get out there very quickly and very fast.
Your CEO and founder of SA Harvest, Alan Browd, is quoted saying it's a horrifying injustice that the people who are worst affected by the ravages of climate change are the poor and the vulnerable. And that's really what we've seen play out here, although it's probably not just climate change that's caused this. It's a heady cocktail of geological issues, of infrastructure issues, lack of maintenance and service delivery as well, that's led us to this point. But it does mean that you've got a large number of people who already had very little before these floods arrived and have now really been left with nothing. What are the needs that you're seeing on the ground?
Well, everything from infrastructure right down to us collecting yogurt tins and ice cream tins and anything just for them to be able to get food from hot meals and community halls to be able to take home, and just try and break that up. But I think now where this leaves us is if we take a step back and have a look at something more sustainable and decentralized, efforts and soup kitchens and communities, and try and build it back that they are more secure, that if something like this happens again, and they are shut off and trapped, or whatever the case may be, that perhaps they've got small gardens and they've got a bit more food security. So it is something we're trying to have a look at, and look at like slow and steady wins the race. And we're trying to take a strategic long-term look at how we can help the communities become more self-sufficient. So it's a big thing for us, a systemic intervention, because something like this could quite easily happen again, and we need to be in a much better position to deal with it.
And I suppose also it's going to be some time before many of these families will be able to be on their feet as well, just as winter is arriving as well. Your organisation is very much also a go-between between big corporates, and are able then to connect them with organisations that are working on the ground. If people are watching right now, how can they get in touch with you? How does it all work? What can you tell them?
Well, our website is saharvest.org. It's that simple, and all our contact details and email addresses are on there. And anything from logistics support to companies that deal in manufacturing or distribution centers that have got short-dated goods, or perhaps just goods where there's just damaged packaging and that the food inside is still fit for human consumption. We do have a certificate of acceptance, which means we can move food around. And anybody, our farmers, anybody with fresh produce. I mean, we've got to make sure that we get nutritious meals out to the community as well. And anybody from the communities that can step forward and help with infrastructure or rebuilding, shovels, gumboots, anything right now is going to help us. We've got floods of blankets coming in from all over South Africa, and clothing as well. So we've been very lucky. We're inundated, and we've got a full warehouse of absolutely anything and everything. And of course, water and water purification sachets, everything.
One final question before I let you go. We've been talking to various organizations doing amazing work like you and your team have been doing. And it always strikes me that you're very much, for many communities struggling with the devastation of these floods right now, of your staff and the organizations you work with are the first people that they're seeing that they're giving them help of any kind. And I suppose it's difficult just to hand over a sandwich and a blanket and off you go. You have to do it with heart. Some people probably just want to have a conversation or even have a hug, while at the same time also being very appreciative of the work that you're doing. It must be quite an emotional experience for your team as well.
It is. I mean, the Monday night when this all started happening, I was up throughout the night thinking of everybody that was not in a position that I was in. It's just Mother Nature just screaming down at us. It was very terrifying. But we are very lucky that we've got beneficiaries on the ground that we visit week in and week out. So we've built such a good relationship with them. And for example, when I get individuals that come to me in despair, I always push them to their communities and try and build a trusting and a community spirit and bring them back together, because the work on the ground with our community organizations is just, it's breathtaking, and it's very positive. So we are all pulling together, and we've got transparent platforms and networks. So everybody does work together, and it is one big happy family, It's not very happy at the moment, but we do offer a lot more support than just giving them a meal.
Okay, well, we certainly do love your energy. SA Harvest KZN Operations Manager Lindsay Hopkins joining us there from Durban, speaking to us about the work that they're doing. If you want to help them or assist them in any way, you can just go to any of SA Harvest's social media platforms or their website as well. You can just Google them.